Here we are with a few essential moves in another of the short and sweet series. Now we're going to stand against the wall for the first one, unless your balance is good and you don't need the wall. So as long as you're nice and warm, perfect if you just come in from a walk or a cycle or something like that. So this is all about a hip hinge. We take 1 foot behind, so I'd stand on your best leg first. See that leg is pretty straight, it's not bent at the knee particularly. And so using your arm close to the wall, a little bit like a pendulum, you're just going to hinge. I'm very, very close to the wall here. So I'm just hinging, aiming to do somewhere around 10 on each side. And if your balance is great or you're feeling like the challenge, we're definitely hinging from the hip. So here I would have one hand on the back and one hand on the tummy. What we want to avoid doing is the rounding forward like so. Can you see the difference? Perfect if you've got a broom handle. So against the wall, the arm here helps to counterbalance, and away from the wall, we're hinging. Just watch out for the head position. You don't want to be dropping it. So you should find it's quite a lot going on through the lower leg and around the thigh and the hip. And once you've done your good leg, you can move over to the other side. I'm going to use my hand here. So I haven't mentioned the core. The core is going to work. If you want a bit of extra support, particularly for this side, then you can lift up through the belly. You can see I'm not able to hinge. Well, you might not be looking at all. I'm not able to hinge as easily on this side. And that's fine. I'm just going to give myself a bit of TLC. And if, like me, you can only sort of do about 5 or 6 on one side versus 10 on the other, then it's the slightly weaker leg that you need to give the attention to. This is a great daily practice. Okay, number 1 of 4. We come down to the mat or the floor for the second one. We're going to come into all fours and a little bit of mobilizing. So taking the hips back and do this really slowly. You'll lose it if you're going quick like this. So you can start off a little bit pacier and then really slow it down. Notice what your back's doing. Notice if you shift to one side versus the other. And with these mobilizers, we're going to do about 6 to 8. And when you slow it down as well, you'll notice how your legs are working. And then if you want to pause at the end, I'm going to do a couple more. You can pause in your rest position. Just kind of let your head go along for the ride, so we're not looking forward. Great one to do if you're feeling any back tightness. So if you've rested there, or if you're doing a few more, I'll just give you a moment before we come up onto all fours. So equally weighted through the lower body and the upper body. If you want to do a little bit of circling or rounding the back up and down before you settle, this is really good to check your positioning here. If you've got a broom handle, put it on your back. Notice, so lengthways from the crown of your head to your tailbone. Or if you want to get straight on with it, we're going to really keep the torso still and go with some reach here. And let's repeat if you can. We're going to do, I think, 6 to 8 and build up to 10. And if you find that it's too much strain to do all of it on one side because of your wrists, then do swap. I'm going to take my hands to the floor, which I find much easier. Same principle as being barefoot rather than having cushioning underneath. foot or the hand. So super slow. So take the breaks where you need to. Doing 3 on each side and swapping. Checking in with your shoulder positioning. I haven't mentioned the core. You don't really need to, as long as you're keeping super still. Bring your awareness to how you're moving. I'm starting to shake a little bit now, so I'm aware that I'm building up resistance by going slowly. Whether you can actually tell I'm shaking a little bit here. And as and when you finish, you might have finished already, you might still be going. Do what you need to shake out the wrists and stretch the wrists if you need to. I know the wrist stretching, but we move on to our last one. And this is side lying. We're going to lie on our backs and move to side lying. That's what I meant to say. So lying down, knees bent, feet flat, and take your arms out to the side. And let's get the knees over, trying to keep the opposite shoulder down. Notice what happens if your knees separate. That's a little bit of tightness there. So we're going to pause just for a breath and then over to the other side. You shouldn't really have to move your upper body. I've just tried to make space for my knees. Notice how this is on this side, how it feels all the way down the side. And again, probably do 6 to 8 in total, so 3 or 4 each side. You'll get to find out where there's tightness. Keeping your upper body still. And then, of course, if you've got a lot of tightness on one side, it will really show up. And then, of course, you can pause. And the final one, I'm pausing right here, just to stretch out this hip a little bit. And if you've got tightness that shows up like that, you could always get your spiky ball. Looking around for mine somewhere, spiky ball, and just have a little roll on the spiky ball. Finish, but those that here it is. I'm going to do that in a second. And those are your core 4, your 4 core. And that's just a little one you can do every other day, just for a few minutes. See you next time.